Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Whispering Gentleman. So, flick off the lights, sit down in your comfortable chair, and grab a glass of your favorite drink as we dive on into it. I worked inside of an office building during the zombie apocalypse by Sugarsoad. We listened to the screams outside as people were being brutally ripped apart by the undead. I could see the looks of fear on my coworkers' faces as we realized that a lot of people we know are probably dead. My attention is once again drawn to my boss's monotonous voice as he continues to talk. He has decided that the best course of action to distract us from everything going on was to have an office meeting. He kept discussing a subject and then asking everyone if they had anything to add. He didn't seem to even notice that none of us were paying even the slightest bit of attention to him. Eventually, the meeting ended and we all slowly made our way back to our desks. A few minutes later, we heard screaming downstairs and knew that the undead had made their way inside. My coworker Kurt stood up and announced that the undead wouldn't touch him as he used to be a zombie years ago. He was always one of those people who would brag about stuff that didn't happen. He marched out the door and moments later I heard his screams for help get silenced. I looked around the room at the few remaining people who hadn't fled the minute the news reports had started coming in. We were a mixed group who probably wouldn't survive for very long out there. I looked over at Robert, who was trying to cheer everyone up by telling a story. He was trying to explain something to Gregory, but it was obvious that Gregory had no clue what was going on. Robert was a nice guy, so he continued anyway. Gregory let out a scream as the undead forced their way into the room and began making their way towards us. They eventually cornered Gregory and he looked like his fate was inevitable. One of the undead began taping on his skull and seemed disappointed with the results. They turned away in disgust while mumbling, "Brains." Gregory rushed past them and fled down the stairs. The undead quickly massacred everyone else until it was only me and Robert left alive. Robert bravely stood in front of me as a way of protecting me. The undead advanced on him but didn't harm him. They all gave him a nod of recognition and moved towards me. I knew he was well liked, and it appears even the undead liked him. I grabbed whatever was close to my hand, which ended up being a metal ruler. I began swinging indiscriminately at whatever was around me. Robert was also attacking them with a hole puncher and was crushing their skulls in. Within minutes, I was surrounded by the bodies of the undead. None of them were left standing, while I didn't have a scratch on me. Robert and I nodded at each other as we were both so glad that we had survived. I heard a noise behind me and spun around to kill whatever was there. I stopped as I saw the confused look on my coworker's Terrence's face. He explained that he had been on the phone in the bathroom for the last ages. He didn't even know there was a zombie apocalypse going on for the last few hours. We grabbed whatever supplies we could gather and made our way downstairs as we prepared to face whatever awaited outside. If you like this story, be sure to check out more stories by Sugarsoad on Reddit. As always, sleep tight and stay terrified.